Hi, this is Lee Langdon. Today on the podcast, I visit with Memorial Road's preacher, Phil Brookman. I wanted to ask Phil some questions that will help our listeners get to know him in a different way, a more personal way than we know him from the pulpit. We talk about his early years. We talk about learning to play ping pong, his admiration for Michael Jordan. We also talk about how he met his wife, Mary, and about being a dad. We discuss youth ministry and preaching and some about retreating with God. Guys, we talk about a lot of things. This was certainly a treat for me to sit down with my good friend and coworker, and I hope this episode will be a blessing to you as well. Okay, guys, let's jump in. Here's Season 2, Episode 7. Welcome to the Young Adult World Podcast. Phil Brookman, welcome to the Young Adult World Podcast.
Hey there. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're on here, man. This is the preacher of Memorial Road is with us on the podcast.
Well, I am officing next door to you, and I know you've done a lot of these interviews. And so I've just been thinking like, hey, I need to be interviewed. I have so many interesting things. I'm just kidding. I have not thought that, but I am happy to be here.
I'm hoping today that our listeners, our young adult listeners especially, can learn about you in a way that they don't normally get to from the pulpit.
Well, one cool thing for me is we're in your office. We've had a lot of amazing talks in your office.
We have.
We've never had the talks on microphones.
Yeah.
This is kind of weird, but
it's cool.
It's good.
Yeah. Well, are you ready to get in?
I'm ready.
We always start with a very similar question, and that is, where were you born, Phil?
I was born like 6 miles west of here. I believe it was, maybe it was in Oklahoma City. Yeah, I think it was Oklahoma City. I was thinking it was the Mercy on the Turnpike, but no, somewhere in Oklahoma City.
One of the hospitals.
One of the hospitals.
Yep. Oh, you don't even know?
I don't even know which one. Nope.
Well, my next question was going to be, have you been to the place where you were born, but you don't even know? Well,
I might have.
I'm fascinated by that.
When we visited that kid in the hospital like a year ago, and we waited in the waiting room and never saw him, and then that other family came in and the kid had swallowed Legos, that might have been the place I was born. I don't know.
Yeah. Been to all these hospitals many times, so who knows?
I need to ask my mom. I don't know.
Well, okay. I'll have to find that out some other time.
But I was a preemie, so I was 2 weeks early, and it was an emergency. The umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck, and I came out blue, and it was one of those, like, if they had waited even a few more hours, I wouldn't have made it.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So you were, like, saved for a reason.
Yeah. Terrified my parents.
I would imagine.
I don't remember much about it. Of course, I don't remember any of it, obviously.
Yeah. You have an older brother, David. Mm-hmm. How much older is he?
3 years.
Okay. Were you guys close when you were younger? And
so growing up, we weren't best friends nor sworn enemies. We mainly just ran in different circles and did different things. He was into Scouts, like he became an Eagle Scout, and he was a big biker, and he played the bass in the orchestra. And then I was all into basketball and running, and so we did different things. Now, I will say, we did play a ton of ping pong, and he always beat me. And yeah, so we had a lot of battles.
Wow. Ping pong, is that a family thing? Like, did your dad play, or is this something you guys brought in?
My dad got us a ping pong table for Christmas when I was in 6th grade, and it was one of the greatest Christmas gifts I've ever received. Wow. So I started playing all the time with my dad's son, but then mainly David and I.
What grade school did you go to?
Washington Irving.
Wow. What middle school did you go to?
Summit.
Where is Summit?
It's over 33rd and like Western.
Okay.
East side or west side of town.
When you were a student, did you love school?
Generally, I did, not the academics part, but I was highly social and just loved being away from the house with friends.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I enjoyed just being with people.
Okay. Well, let's talk about your social in a second. If your kids needed help with homework right now today, what would you be able to help them with?
Generally math is the answer. I love math. I've always liked math. And this is the first year ever where... when I was in high school, I went up through calculus, and Anna is, I think, taking pre-calc this year. And so I've tried to help her a few times, and I've just forgot like all of it. So I have not been very good at helping her. I can still help Heidi with hers, but generally I can do math. I don't help at all with history, science, English. Yeah, actually just math. That's it.
Just math.
Literally one subject I help with.
You love to play games. Did that start off young in your childhood?
I do love games. I actually had lunch today with the guy that grew up in my youth group, and I taught him how to play the card game Pitch years ago. And he recently emailed me and just said, hey, we need to play again. And so we did. We went and sat at Jimmy's Egg and we played Pitch.
I don't even know what Pitch is.
It was great. It's just a strange game. So growing up, I did play a few board games with the family, but my family wasn't necessarily all into board games. My love for them really started in 7th grade when I had a few friends in the youth group and they just loved playing card games. And so I started playing a lot of cards in 7th grade and 8th grade. And then that just stayed and developed, and I still love playing them.
Yeah, I if anybody knows you, it's like they know that you love to play games.
Yeah.
And I've been in those environments where we've played games. What would you say right now are some of your favorite games?
Okay, so Crew is like cooperative spades. We play that a lot. Nerds, play that a lot.
Do you love Nerds?
I love Nerds.
I didn't know this. Mm-hmm. I grew up playing Nerds. I love Nerds too.
How come we haven't played?
We haven't played Nerds. It's crazy.
I do like Nerds.
Yeah.
I have some friends where I play social deduction games like Werewolf and Avalon, a little bit of Secret Hitler, mainly Werewolf and Avalon. Most recently for Christmas, I got a game called The Gang, and it's cooperative poker. And it has chips and everything, and it's been the favorite game for the last probably 2 months. So we've all learned how to play. So those are the current probably favorite games.
Yeah. You love to run. Where did that come from? When did you start running?
I didn't always like running. I have a memory when I was 12, Red Bud Classic, and my dad was running in it, and I was so angry that he made me run in it. And I cried, and I hated it, did not want to run. And that stayed with me. I was a basketball player growing up, and I thought running was ridiculous. And so...
How old was this Red Bud Classic?
I was 12 when I ran in that. And this disdain for running stayed with me all the way through. I mean, I ran track in middle school, mainly just to get faster for basketball. I didn't run cross country in middle school. But in high school, ironically, I was actually better at running than basketball, and I was in denial because I really like basketball and I wanted to be that guy that could be short and just make it. But anyway, one day I just realized, I'm not, I'm better at running. So I went all in with track and cross country in high school and did well and kind of got burned out. So early in college, I was just done. Like, I even had a small scholarship to run at OC, but decided to just not hang it. It wasn't very much money anyway, but I was just done with running. So for about, a year, 18 months or so, I just stopped it altogether. But then I missed it. And really since then, I would say mid-college, I've just become more of a recreational jogger and ran a few marathons in my 20s and then a bunch of halves. And more than anything now, it's just I enjoy getting to know new places by running. I actually got stopped by security last week at Universal for running inappropriately. I was at this area called City Walk, and it was early in the morning, and there was some conveyor belts, like airport moving walkway kind of things. But all the people were coming into the park area, so hundreds of people were like coming towards me on my left. But there was these moving walkway things on the right with 0 people. And I was just jogging. I was just in the middle of a random jog. And I was like, I've never ran on one of those things. I bet it'd be really fun. So I did. I did like a few little laps. And man, when you get on those things, you are flying. Yeah. It just feels like you're going so fast. Well, pretty soon I got stopped by a security guard who said, I can't do that. So I said, okay, no problem. And so I just walked for a while. Well, then about 10 minutes later, I'm in a different part of this area. I'm probably like 1/4 of a mile away from where the security guard had originally stopped me. But there's pretty buildings and restaurants and just, it's a nice place. And so I probably jogged for like 5 more minutes. I'm kind of at the end. Then a second security guard approaches me I guess they've like walkied me. I'm a big threat to them. And he like pulls me aside very sternly and is like, I thought we told you to stop running. I'm like, oh, I thought that was the moving walkway. I'm so sorry. And so I got a big lecturing just a few days ago.
This was in Universal Studios or?
So there's a place called City Walk, which is just outside the park. So you don't have to have a ticket to get in. So this is actually the final day. We were about to go to the airport and I was just getting a morning jog in.
Yeah. And you're not allowed to run in City Park.
Can't run in I did not know this.
Wow. So you ran in high school. Mm-hmm. Were you successful as far as winning awards, winning tournaments and things?
Yeah. I was average at cross country and above average at the half mile. And probably the quarter mile too, but half mile was my specialty.
Did you win things? Like, do you have medals?
So, I have lots of medals. I all stated my senior year. I got injured my junior year. I actually missed that season. But yeah, my senior year, I kept running two flat. Two flat's a big time to break in high school for the 800. I kept running just two flat over and over until one day, this is a conference meet, and it was on Monday. It was at North High School, and halfway through the meet, rain came and they canceled it, or they canceled the second half and they said go home. So it was postponed to the next day. So I'm sitting at home. Well, I got my times for my race incorrect. So I'm in my bedroom. I remember this, and I didn't even know my coach had my cell phone number, but he calls me, and he's a former military, really serious, no nonsense guy, and he just starts screaming, "You get your bleepity bleep over here!" Da, da, da. He's very mad. I didn't even know I was late, so I get in my car. I drive over to North High School, change into my jersey at the intersection of 2nd and Bryant. Get to North, park my car, run, jump over the fence, get to the starting line, gun goes off, and I run a 1:57.
Oh my, good for you. That's awesome.
So forget warming up and all that nonsense. I was just scared into my PR. So anyway, that was my best time. If I could have done that just 2 weeks later, I would have got like 3rd or 4th in state, but I had a terrible race, the actual state meet, so I didn't do very good. Wow. But the time is really good. I'm proud of that time.
Yeah, 1:57. That's your story sounded like the beginning of an 80s movie. It just sounded fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
I wanted to see that. I can hear the music and the...
That's right. Oh, I'm sorry, Coach, I'm coming.
Take off, yeah. And then the tragedy comes. Anyway, well, very cool. So you told me about, you're drinking coffee, but you don't drink soda.
I don't.
Yeah. Tell me about this soda thing. When did you start?
1998, 8th grade. And I did run track. And my coach that year, different coach, he pulled the team aside one day and he said, "Hey, this season you'll run faster if you don't drink carbonation." And I didn't even know if that was true. It might not be true. But I was in 8th grade. I was like, all right, I guess I can do that. And it was really hard. I love Dr. Pepper. And I second would be Sprite. But those 3 months... and that season, I did not drink Dr. Pepper. So we got to the summer, and I just thought, I did it 3 months. I wonder if I can go 3 more. And so I did, and I got through the end of the summer. And then I was like, I wonder if I could go a year, and I went a year. And then 1 year turned into 2 years. And then at some point in high school, I just decided I'm going to go 50 years. And so I just picked the number arbitrarily. There's no deep reason behind it. Nothing that compelling. I wish there was a better motivation for this, but my 10th grade self decided to go 50 years. And so I've stuck to it. And so now it's, what would that be? I guess it's been about 27 years. So I'm over halfway.
That's incredible.
It's the dumbest thing ever.
I don't know that it is. I think it's fantastic. I mean, nobody does this. Like that's very unique.
Long-term goal.
It is, but it's really cool. Has that impacted discipline in your life in other ways? I'm just curious. Has that fed into giving you confidence to being able to stick with other things?
What the Atomic Habits author says, that once you get disciplined in one area, it's easier to get disciplined in other areas. And I think that's true. So generally when I decide to buckle down on something, I can usually find like some motivation to do that. So yeah, and I think part of it's personality. I tend to just, when I get interested in something, I get pretty obsessed. Like for example, in 7th grade, I went all in on hacky sack. I mean, it was like 18 months of my life. That's all I did, just hacky sack. Because at first I would be in groups and people would get like 5, 6, 7 hits in a row, and I could get like 2, and I couldn't move my legs in that way, and that bothered me. And so I got so every day, such a sad image, me in the backyard. But I got to the point where my record for hacky sack is 499
That is
hits in a row. It landed on the roof after 499, so I didn't get to 500.
Oh, were you so? Oh my God, that's like so great. But then
I know I was both. I was thrilled and angry.
499. That's impressive.
But it just goes to show I have a little bit of this kind of obsessive. Okay, let's go. Let's do something hard. Whether it's the carbonation thing or hacky sack or that kind of stuff.
You like to excel in what you do. And you do.
I just like the adventure to try something, and I like hard things, and I like the challenge.
Yeah, I've seen you start pickleball.
We've last 2-3 years.
Yeah, we've played. We've kind of started
a lot
together.
of pickleball.
Yeah, and you've just excelled, and you just keep getting better and better. I love watching.
I wish I could have brought it in the tournament a few weeks ago.
Me too.
We played and we did so bad. Now, granted, our opponents were really good.
You talked about loving basketball when you were a kid, and I know anybody that knows you because of or heard you preach. At some point, you've mentioned your favorite player.
Yeah,
who is
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan. Yeah, where did that come from? Like, why Michael Jordan?
I don't think anybody growing up in the 90s would not say that. I mean, I'm sure a few would, but I'm in eighth. I guess I go backing up. In fifth grade, I actually remember when Jordan came out of retirement. So he played baseball a few years and he came back with just this like fax machine message, I'm back. Well, I remember that story coming out and I was so excited. And so my middle school years, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, that was his second three-peat. And so I'm watching the Bulls beat the Sonics and then the Jazz and the Jazz again. And that's just developmentally, that's such a formative time in everybody's life. And so for me to just to watch that, like right now, any 7th grade boy or 8th grade boy that saw the Thunder win the championship last year, they're going to be like 85 years old one day and die-hard Thunder fans just because those memories happened at such a critical stage. So that's what it was for me, is I just watched it then. I collected a bunch of basketball cards. I had posters all over my wall. So I became a huge Jordan fan.
Well, he was amazing. And he
was.
He was an icon. A non-basketball really fan.
Yeah.
I was even enamored by Michael Jordan. He was impressive.
He's not necessarily the greatest human being. Yeah. But just with basketball, I appreciate his basketball prowess.
Yeah. Well, I would say the same thing about Tiger Woods.
Yes, that's true.
Something about the greatness of their abilities that just draws you in. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But you became a Thunder fan.
I did.
Yeah. How did that happen?
Well, before the Thunder, my dad and I would go to, we would drive to Dallas to watch the Mavericks.
Oh, wow.
Or I remember in the 90s, they did some preseason games in Oklahoma City. Just sometimes teams will travel for the preseason. So Charles Barkley and Patrick Ewing were in town playing. And so I just developed this love of basketball. And so then when the Thunder came, I was just blown away that in my city, this team's here. And so even when we were terrible, I still liked going to games, and now we're great.
Okay, I got to ask this. When the Mavericks would come to Oklahoma City, where would they play? Did we have a stadium?
No, we would.
Were they?
Oh, when teams would come up here to play?
Yeah, where would they play?
We did. So we had an old hockey team called the Blazers, the Oklahoma City Blazers, that just played in the Cox Convention Center before the Paycom Center was there, and they would just play in that little arena. So,
but immediately when the Thunder came, you were all in.
Oh yeah, I was totally in.
Yeah. Did you ever have season tickets or anything like that?
I did partial season, I think 1 year, but no, maybe in a different stage of life I would do that, but I've never done the season ticket thing.
What do you think about the Thunder right now?
I mean, I'm all emotionally invested in just because I'm a spiritual person and I do think about God. I am aware that there are some days where, I probably shouldn't be this irritated after a loss. But overall, it's just fun. It's fun to be part of a city that is doing so well. It's rare. It doesn't happen that often that the team in your own city actually wins it all. So that's a big deal. So I'm just trying to enjoy it while it's here, because I know it won't last forever.
They're pretty impressive. Mm-hmm. I mean, in the small market that we are in to win, that was awesome. How did you feel when you watched them win the championship? I
was in disbelief. I was so excited because it was 2 weeks of anxiety. The Nuggets series was hard. The Timberwolves was hard. And then that Pacer series every game was a nail biter, and it went 7, and it was just full of anxiety. So just a lot of relief when we won. I went to the parade a few days later with Corey Baird, which was super fun. So I was delighted. You kind of feel like you've won yourself, even though it's not true. It's all an illusion. This whole sports world, it's pretty powerful, and probably in some negative ways. Sometimes I think about the gladiator games, like, are we just doing what the ancient people did when they would go to those stadiums and watch people kill others?
Oh, I don't know. I think like times of war and things like that, like it was the sports that sometimes kept people together. And, you know, in England, they would go to the pubs and they would watch the games together. It was like a unifying thing.
Yeah, that is true. It brings people together.
It does. So you graduated high school.
Mm-hmm.
You went to OC.
Mm-hmm.
Were you a Bible major?
I was. I actually was from day one. I just wanted to be in ministry.
Wow. What made you want to be in ministry? Tell me that story.
So I was walking out of a Bible study when I was 15 years old. I was by myself out in the middle of a neighborhood street, and I looked up at the sky, and I just felt this deep presence in me that said, you're going to be a minister. And this desire level was just like super high. Like, I want to do this. So I decided at 15 to be a minister. I assumed it would be youth ministry. I love teenagers church camp. And then I had a really formative experience going to NCYM at like 17 or 18 years old and just meeting all those youth ministers. You've been to that conference. And so then I went into OC declaring my youth ministry major. Now, at the time, I remember meeting with the registrar in that first meeting, and I said, he asked, do you want to declare a major? And I was like, yep, I want to be a youth minister. And I had a good ACT score and a good GPA, and he looked at those and said, well, that's a fine plan, but you know, another option is you could just major in business or engineering or something else and do vocational ministry as kind of a backup plan or side option. And I would never say this now. This is very disrespectful, but I was 18 and not very mature. So I looked back at this very, very kind man, and I said, well, sir, if all the smart people didn't do youth ministry, wouldn't that make all the youth ministers dumb? Like, I said that to him. Isn't that a terrible, like, just kind of a punk thing to say? So anyway, but I don't know what he said back, but so that was it. I had one plan, and so I decided to do ministry and took all the youth ministry classes and interned my, I think, sophomore and junior year. And then coming out of college, I had 2 job openings. I applied for both and went through interviews on both. And for a while thought, I think I might be coming out of college with 2 job offers, prayed a lot. I was engaged to Mary at the time, and we sat down. I remember this as clear as day. We had this really intense prayer together because we knew that, like, whichever job I took is probably going to determine our path in life. And so we got done with this prayer and thought to ourselves, okay, if we get the other job offer, we're going to take it, because I wanted to get out of town. Like, I was ready to go and leave, and let's go somewhere else and start a new journey. But the other church never called me back. I didn't get the offer. So I was like, oh, okay. Wow. And so the only job offer I had coming out of college was the junior high youth ministry position at Memorial Road. Wow. And I was pumped. That's where I've been interning, and I love those kids. And so I was like, yeah, absolutely. So that's what I did.
So, and you grew up here. So you went all the way through the youth ministry.
I did.
Wow. Jeff McMillan was your youth minister?
James Wall for 1 year, then Jeff for like the rest of it.
Yeah. And then you interned. Wow. And then you became the youth minister. That must have been amazing for you.
I never would have scripted it that way. That's just dominoes kept falling and doors kept opening, and that's the way it happened.
It's beautiful. Yeah. Very few people get to tell that kind of story. Yeah. But you bring something to the table that's really fascinating. Let me ask you real quick before we go into that further. How did you meet Mary? Where did you guys develop this relationship?
We both went to the Vienna Studies program in 2003, and she was 2 years older than me. I had a huge crush on her. She did not have a crush on me, but I thought, if I just get her in Europe for 3 months, I'll just win her over. So it wasn't that straightforward, but we did spend a lot of time together over there, and we just, we honestly did fall in love. Bizarrely, just walking the cobblestone streets of old cities in Europe. And I mean, it was amazing. Euphoric. And so, but we knew that wasn't real life, and we knew we needed to get back home and see if this would work. And so then we dated for a while and got engaged maybe a year after Vienna, and got married the next year.
How did you know she was the one?
I knew Mary was the one because it is so weird. Two things. Number one, I genuinely felt like I was becoming a more godly person when I was around her. Like she was pulling forth the better kind of me, that Christ-centered, spirit-filled, others-focused, joyful me. I became more of that when I was with her. So I was like, that's a good sign. And then two was I recognized very quickly that she was going to be an amazing mother. And I just knew that that was something I wanted in my future. And she was gorgeous. So yeah, I knew really early that if she would go for me. At that time, I was way more of the oddball and goofy and immature. And I don't know if I would have wanted my daughters to date me when I was 19 or 20.
But why did she pick you? Like, why do you think she decided you were the one?
If she were here, she would say, yes, Phil was crazy at that point, but I could tell he really loved Jesus, and I figured that was a good thing. Like that's what she would say. And I did love Jesus, and I love people, and then I grew up a little bit later.
So how long were you a youth minister then here? You jumped into youth ministry together.
Yeah. So I did junior high youth ministry 2 years, and then high school ministry 5 years.
Okay.
And then Mary was part of that for 4 years. She was part-time. On staff, and did a lot of work with the girls and just various other parts of the ministry team. It was Kevin Peters, Megan Yeager, me, and then Mary part-time. So then when we had our second child, Heidi, she decided to stay home after that. So yeah, but I did 7 years of youth ministry and loved it. It was amazing. I mean, you know that as a former youth minister, you don't really, or at least for me, I didn't leave it just super happily, like, oh, I'm done with you. Like, I wasn't burned out. I really like teenage ministry, and I think it's super important.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Do you have some highlights from youth ministry that you remember?
Man.
I know there's so many good things. Yeah.
One year at Winterfest, you know, all the sessions are great, but then like one night from like 10:30 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. I had this series of one couple comes in to meet in my hotel room, and they're great kids, but they've gone too far sexually, and then what do we do? And so that was long and laborious. And then I think after that, somebody came in and was like, I want to get baptized. I was like, oh, cool. Let's go to the fountain and get kids out of bed. And that was great. But then it was like 12:30. And then it was, somebody came in and said, hey, I think these two kids are doing some drugs on the roof or something like that. I was like, oh my goodness, you're kidding. So then I was running up there and dealing with that and calling parents. And I just thought, man, this is crazy. But that's just I think that's a microcosm of what all of youth ministry is. You've got big highs and big lows, but there was something really joyous about walking with teenagers in such a formative part of life, helping them discover their gifts and figure out how to navigate their social lives and just figure out how to walk with Jesus together. That was really rewarding.
Youth ministry really is a blessing. I don't know what we would do. Like, we just take it for granted, I think, sometimes, of how much of a blessing youth ministry is in general. Man, that's so neat to be able to look back on this church. The people that are in our ministry right now were probably, some of them were in your youth group.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
It's a big blessing. I don't think I realized it at the time, but faithfulness in the small things over time bears fruit and brings a harvest. But the tricky part is you never know when it's coming, and you don't know who it's going to come through. Like, we're just not privy to those results. And I think the principle applies not just to youth ministry, but to any part of life. We do the little things consistently over time, and then we just have to trust that God is going to do work, whether that's the work of a marriage early on, trying to build the right habits to have a long-standing covenantal relationship, or, you know, somebody at their job, you know, bottom of the totem pole, like I hate this place, but just, you know, putting in the time so that hopefully someday that makes a difference. I don't think anybody realizes what could happen, but for me in my story, it was all the little things, just like hanging out with kids and texting them and taking them out to Sonic or Brahms, and just doing that over time. Doesn't mean I'm close to all of them to this day, but there's a few that's like, that's amazing. Yeah. Like I'm telling you, today it was Brian Leftwich, and he reminded me that one of the dumbest things I ever did when I was in youth ministry, he knows all the details, but my car was in the shop, and I needed somebody to take like Mary's car from the church building to my house or something, and I couldn't do it. And so I asked Brian, I was like, hey, can you drive my car home real quick? And Anna was like 4 months old at the time, and Anna was in the car. And I cannot believe I let him do that. And so he was joking with me about that today. Like, that's a terrible decision to let because he's a new driver. He just got his license back in the day, and I'm letting him drive my baby home. But today we're just laughing. That was what, 15 years ago? And so now he's got 3 kids of his own, and he's got a job, and he's just trying to navigate life. But just to think that, all those seeds you plant, you just never know what they're going to do. And you can't manufacture history. Like, you can't pay for history. No amount of money can get that. The only way you get it is just faithfulness over time. And then all of a sudden you look up and God's done great things. And so, there's a lot of blessing and reward, especially from seeing former youth group kids just doing great in life. It's such a blessing to me.
I'm so glad that you get to see that before your eyes. That really is a blessing. You mentioned your girls, Anna and Heidi. How old are they now?
Anna's 16, Heidi's 14.
Yeah. What is it like teaching your kids to drive?
Oh, that's terrifying, actually. It was... there's a lot of anxiety. It's one thing to teach somebody that's not biologically related to you, but man, it's there was just days where, you know, I could tell she was anxious, or she'd hit a curb or whatever. But having said that, that was only probably 5% of it. The other 95% is just you're chilling in the car, talking, you're out in the back roads out by Pops, just learning how to turn left and turn right and brake and speed up, and then you're really proud, or I'm proud, like she's doing it, and it's amazing. So I did really treasure getting to teach Anna how to drive.
You actually get to see them go through their youth ministry days. You volunteer back there when you can. That must be a neat perspective.
Well, it gives me a great appreciation for good youth ministers. Daniel and Curtis and Emily and Bailey are really good. And so I love it when my girls will say, I want to go talk to Bailey about this, or Daniel had this really good point in his lesson. And it just makes me so happy, because I'm aware that they need more than me and more than Mary for their spiritual formation. So just the fact that they're getting that. It's such a blessing.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But I know that you and Mary are very intentional at home and with your family about things, building faith in your family. What have been some things that have been successful? Like, do you have routines and things that you've done? What have been helpful things for maybe our parent listeners that are thinking about, what do we need to do at our home to help build faith in our kids?
I heard a talk early when maybe it was right before Anna was born, from a guy, I can't even remember his name, but he said that he really wanted his kids to know that they were blessed by God from day one. And so he had decided to say that Aaronic blessing from the book of Numbers over his kids every day. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you. So that's one practice we decided to do on day one, even in the hospital. Just that's how we end every day. And
every day.
Every day. We're 16 years into that with Anna. So that's just become part of the background tapestry of life, is that they're blessed. They know they're blessed by God. That was one. And then another one would be, we just decided early on that we were going to have daily devotionals or Bible reading times or with the girls, and that's changed a lot over the years, depending on their age. But we've stuck to that, where it'll be maybe a few songs, or we'll read a verse, or we'll watch a little. When they were little, we would just sometimes watch 5-minute video. There's lots of them out there that has some good theme. I have a wall of like 50 verses I want them to know before they graduate. So sometimes we just walk into that room and we all recite one of those verses. So we're just every night we're doing something. We'll act out stories. We're trying to make it fun. But that's been really an anchor. And then the other one I don't know if we intentionally did this, but it just happened. Is I think this is a line I think Andy Stanley says. I want to parent in such a way that my kids want to come home even when they're not home anymore. Mm-hmm. And I really liked that line. He's actually, so from day one, he was envisioning their kid at 25, and he wanted to build the kind of home life that a 25-year-old would want to come back to even when they didn't have to. And by the way, you and Amy have crushed it on this, whether you did it intentionally or not, because you're literally living that right now. Your kids love coming and hanging out.
I hope so.
With you guys. And that's what a blessing. I know a lot of families where it's like kids are out and they don't want anything to do with the house. So we tried early on to just develop the kind of home life where it's like goofing off, watching shows, playing games, just develop that emotional bond that we love each other deeply. And I know all families do, but we've worked really hard on just building that up. And so right now, I can't speak for when my kids are 25, but right now, like my kids love being at home. They love with their friends. Yes, they want to go hang out with their friends, but they are pumped when they walk through those doors. And as I know, yours are too. So just creating fun, I guess, would be the summary of that.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's beautiful. I love your family. You have a fantastic family. Are there things you worry about?
Yeah.
What do you worry about?
Oh, well, I worry about, my kids and their future and because they're teenagers now, and it's, they have hard things. And so I do find myself worried about them and thinking about just whatever problem they have. A lot of my life is wrapped up in Memorial Road. I love Memorial Road. And so I worry about I guess like the effect of like the moralistic therapeutic deism, this phrase that Christian Smith coined. It is pretty rampant. It's the people that they're not necessarily bought into the actual way of Jesus the way I would understand it, but they buy into more of a consumeristic, give me a little religion on the side. Well, that's just rampant in the country, and that's affected Memorial Road. And the corollary to that would just be the radically different attendance patterns since COVID of just, it's not as important to people. And I don't even worry necessarily from the standpoint of, you got to get your rear end in that pew or you've done something terribly wrong. Because I'm not really a legalist like that. I'm more concerned from the epidemic of loneliness perspective. This trend of not being together isn't good for people's mental and spiritual health. And so I want a healthy church, and a healthy church is going to be a church that gets together. And so I worry about that, just the transient nature of the average Christian today. I wish there could be a little more commitment, and that's across all. I'm not talking about even one generation, just any generation. So I worry about that.
Those kinds of things, to me, it's what we kind of talked about earlier about habits and creating things that are in your life that are just kind of things that you do that are really important. And that's, I can see that being a worry. You've been preaching for how long now?
13 years.
13 years, yeah. And you get called to preach around the nation, or even international. You've preached around the world, really. Yeah. Do you love, what do you love about preaching?
Well, I love, the Bible still comes to life to me. So I do love that. That feeling of, I didn't see that before. That still happens to me. I really like that. Saying things in certain ways that are actually helpful to people. And I realize that, it's not like people are saying, that one sermon changed my life. That doesn't necessarily happen, but every once in a while, I'll say something on a Sunday that actually will impact someone's Monday. Like, I remember, it's just a random example, doing some sermon on a kind of prayer practice years ago, and a lady contacted me the next day and said, "Hey, I lead a team meeting of my 7 coworkers every Monday, and I used that prayer principle from yesterday's sermon to help us pray together." And I just thought, that's really cool. Like, you never know what people do with the sermons, but so I like that. I like some conversations preaching has led to with people. I do still think the Word of God has power, and I enjoy being a conduit of that Word.
Do you have a favorite place to speak? Like you've gone to so many different places. Anything that kind of pops to the top for you?
I love Petty John.
Yeah,
Camp Petty John.
Something special.
I've just got to speak there almost every summer for, I don't even know.
Yeah, years.
Honestly, it might have been like 2004, 2005. So almost 20 years of just getting the love on teenagers there. So that's a lot of great memories. But this place you and I have been to a few times the last few years, Belpre, I've really got to know the people up there. I love that church. I have some formative experiences just learning how to speak better at Winterfest. So that's close to my heart. But then honestly, just Memorial Road, it's a great, I love this church. And so it's, it's home.
Yeah. You've told me before when we've been out on the road together, you love going home to preach. After you've been away, you love going home.
My people.
Yeah.
I used to be dismissive of the story I had because it wasn't interesting. Like, you just stay in the same spot. You don't know anything. You haven't learned. You haven't. Or that's what I told myself the narrative was. That's not true. So I really changed my perspective on that. Jonathan Wilson Hartgrove wrote a book called The Wisdom of Stability that I read years ago, and that was really formative to me. Because he says that, we overestimate what we can do in 5 years and we underestimate what we can do in 30. And that's the story of my life. I planted, I stayed put, and God worked over the long haul. But you commented on this earlier. That's a good story. Like, people need that, especially people whose lives are uprooted and constantly changing. They need groundedness. And so, in one sense, just God has used my groundedness, which is very much tied to the groundedness of my parents and even grandparents when they were still alive, just to offer a safe place of love for a lot of people for a long time. And that's a good story. And so I'm proud that's my story. You
mentioned books a lot. How often do you read? Tell me about your book reading schedule. What does that look like?
Well, it probably seems better than it is. I do like to read. For sermons, I'm always trying to get into books that are helpful for the writing of the message. I don't read a ton of fiction. It's something I'm trying to do a little bit more, but I love theology and spiritual formation books. But I do start plenty of books and don't finish. But I don't know. I'm always trying to be in something.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those guys that I'm in 4 or 5 books at a time, and might finish one, but.
I mean, all of those things are just kind of pouring in, and you're putting those things together, linking them together.
Yeah.
You seem to have an intellect that you can recall books so well. That's really impressive to me. I wonder why that is, if it's from lessons or whatever. I don't know.
I was just faking it. I don't know. I've never thought I had a recall that was.
It's impressive to me. I mean, I know the Spirit has worked in that too, I'm sure.
Huh.
Well, do you have certain passages of Scripture that have meant, especially a great deal to you over the years?
I would mention 2. One is the book of Philippians, just the whole book. So years ago, this is probably rooted again in my personality and this. Why are you doing these things? Why are you going 50 years without drinking carbonation? But 10, 15 years ago, I decided to memorize the book of Philippians. And so it took me a while. It took me 6 months or so, but I did. And it was really helpful because what I found myself doing when I was driving around is simply just saying those words. And boy, there's just so much richness in that book. To live as Christ, to die as gain, and don't be interested in yourself, be interested in other people, and stop complaining in chapter 2, and don't be anxious in chapter 4, and all these things I consider rubbish. But I just want to know Christ, in chapter 3. There's just almost every paragraph has a gold mine of a thought. But just to say that over and over, it really starts to seep into your bones. So I really the book of Philippians has been really formative to me. And then I would say that a similar thing with the Sermon on the Mount, just
Right.
It's such a challenging text, and trying to live it's really hard, but it's the way of Jesus.
I know we're probably out of time, so let me ask you one final question. When you think about retreating with the Lord, going away, just being alone with him, what comes to mind? What does that mean to you, and what are your experiences with that?
Well, I did a DISC personality profile a long time ago, and it's probably the deepest dive I've ever done one of those things. It was like, I was part of some program, and it was expensive, and so I had to answer like 500 questions, and and then the report that it spit back was really complicated, and I didn't understand it all. But one of my takeaways was it said that it had this part of the explanation. It said that when I'm operating like at full level and like seizing the best of who I am for the sake of the world, it's going to be an upfront performative role when I'm at my best. But that's very much correlated with my deepest need on this profile deal. And it said my deepest need is solitude and like getting away. Now, it's a secular tool, so it wasn't necessarily meaning spiritual formation or contemplation or retreat by that. But that's always been a big takeaway to me, that everything I do in preaching is hinged upon prayer and retreat and solitude. Somebody, maybe it was Fred Craddock, said your preaching life will never outpace your praying life. So that's been really formative to me. So I've made that part of my life really just important. And so everything from my daily routine of being with God and trying to listen to God on both busy days and non-busy days, and then my occasional times to actually get away and do more extended times of retreat, where it's, whether it's at a monastery or a retreat center or just an extended time, even at my own house. Those are really important to let all the stress just settle for a minute, take deep breaths, be open. What does God need to say to me today? How can I just sit in his love? That's so important. And so I actually don't think I can do my ministry without that part of my life. And so, it's just become really significant to me. Yeah.
It's obvious to me you live out of that overflow. I think your time with the Lord overflows into everything you do. And Phil, I'm just so grateful, not only for your friendship, but for the blessing you are to this whole church, to our young adult ministry. You've come in so many times and have blessed them. And I know you love them so deeply, and they love you. And you've been such a blessing to our church. So, man, thank you so much for all that you do. Keep going. Keep going. I know that you love what you do, but we love that you do it. So keep going. You're a blessing.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for having me, Lee.
Yeah, thanks for being on here, man. Hey, thanks for joining us today. I hope this conversation was meaningful to you. Come find us on Instagram. Our profile is Young Adult World Podcast. Tell us what you connected with during our podcast today. This podcast is part of the Young Adult Ministry at the Memorial Road Church of Christ in Edmond, Oklahoma. Come join us sometime. There's plenty of room for everyone. If you want to reach out to us, don't hesitate to email us at youngadultworldpodcast@gmail.com. And we are so grateful for Jacob Staten. Jacob is a young adult who edits this podcast for us and keeps this thing going. So thanks, Jacob. Okay, guys, see you next time for another Young Adult World conversation.